Cryptocurrency is a medium of exchange of digital currency. Some people say that it's the currency of the future. I say it's the currency of now.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ryan Brown here. This is the first edition of Crypto Talk Live. We're based here in Houston at the Motive Studios, and the whole purpose of the show is to discuss all things crypto. We're going to talk about the ups, we're going to talk about the downs, we're going to talk about the markets, ICOs, and just other things that go on in the cryptoverse as well. So I'm really excited to bring this edition to you, and I think it's going to be an amazing show. I got some great guests with us. We have someone who goes by Papa Pepper. Some of you watching may know him, some of you may not, but this will be a good opportunity to find out people's just regular people who have gotten into crypto. They're earning money through cryptocurrency, and they're just kind of making a name for themselves. You know, myself as well. We also have someone else here who goes by Hammock House. Now you'll notice we're all wearing shades and hats. It's it's not part of a look. I mean, that's how some of us are. But also one of the unique things about cryptocurrency is the need for people, or the want and desire for people to be anonymous, aside from what we normally deal with when you walk into a bank and you get fingerprinted and you have to show your ID and all that good stuff. And so that's one of the underlying deals when dealing with cryptocurrency. So first thing I want to do is introduce Papa Pepper. Can we get Papa Pepper?
How's everyone doing? Papa Pepper here. Glad to be here. Made a trip through the night just to be able to be here in Houston for this. Brought my bodyguard, bluer than green, hired him for this trip, and here we are. We made it safe and sound.
And I can guarantee I won't be rummaging through his pockets at all. He looks like a pretty menacing guy, so I'm just going to leave him alone. Besides, I don't know if he has enough crypto for me to take from him, so I'm going to just leave him alone.
You won't find the crypto in his pocket.
You're right about that, and we'll get into that. We'll get into what crypto is and where you can find it, how you can earn it, how you can buy it, how you can invest in it. Also, we have another guest here who's new to the cryptoverse, and that will be Hammock House. That's the name that he's going by. And Hammock House, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, from down here in Texas. We didn't drive quite as far as some of the other fellows, but you know, made a nice little drive to come in and see what we can do to expand the world of crypto and kind of let everybody know what's going on.
All right, so now I'm going to tell you guys about my introduction in the cryptocurrency and how I come to take it so seriously, and it becomes an integral part of my life, and in weird ways it's also consuming me. And please excuse me, I'm getting over a little cold, so I'm quite congested. So I'm not actually, I don't normally talk to my nose like this. But my story is in February of 2017. There was an individual that contacted me, a friend of mine, and he was on a blogging site, and he wanted to know if I could come to the website and kind of give him some ideas that I had for different ways to make money. I guess you can say because I have an entrepreneurial mind. I've owned several businesses, and you know, he wanted to know if somehow I can transition that from fiat businesses to a way to help them with cryptocurrency. Well, I got on the site, and it just happened to be a blogging site. It's called Steemit.com, STEEMIT.com. And basically, you go on it, and you blog, you upvote, the equivalent of like, you retweet or reblog. We also call it re-steaming on that site. And you earn money every time that you interact with other people. Well, the money that you earn is cryptocurrency, a cryptocurrency called Steem. So I spent a lot of time blogging and earning cryptocurrency, but I was having fun because I didn't have a Facebook, I didn't have a Twitter and Instagram, so that was like my social media outlet. Well, I was able to earn like $2,000. Well, it said $2,000, but I didn't know how to touch it. So to me, it was monopoly money. And it wasn't until I tried to pull the money out that I accidentally sent the $2,000 to someone else. So in my mind, it was still a joke, it was a scam, it wasn't real. But the community, the crypto community, not just on Steemit but off of Steemit, started reaching out to people, and they actually helped me get my cryptocurrency back. And I was able to turn it into cold hard cash, and that's when I realized, okay, there's something to this. I was able to turn my blogging into money. And obviously, when you earn these this currency called Steem, in order to cash out, you have to turn it in, convert it to a popular cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Litecoin, Ethereum. So I converted it to Bitcoin, and that was my first time ever holding Bitcoin, was when I converted Steem to Bitcoin to turn into cash. So some of it I turned into cash, some I kept into Bitcoin, and since then I've been moving my currency around, playing with different, just buying different tokens and different coins here and there, and just getting consumed by the wonderful world of crypto. Sorry. So now I'm going to send it over to Papa Pepper, because I want to know, tell me about your experience getting in the crypto, and why have you stuck with it for as long as you have?
Sure. My story is quite similar, actually, to that of Extraordinary Pilot here, is that I don't have a background in cryptocurrency. I don't have a background in being online at all. And I didn't hear about Bitcoin back in the day when it first came out. I mean, even in 2010, that stuff was worth like a fraction of a cent. And now for one Bitcoin, last I checked, it's over $6,000. So anyone just even converting a little bit of their nation's regular currency into Bitcoin just a couple years ago would be completely rich by now. I never spent much time online because I'm a busy guy. I got a lot to do. I've got 5 kids at home. I got my wife. We're trying to do a homestead now. We're working on a bunch of stuff. And but a friend of mine encouraged me. He said, "Hey, why don't you check out this website called Steemit?" And it's kind of almost like if you were going to create some content and put it on Facebook or something, but maybe like they gave you some of their stock, kind of had a pot of it and distributed it based on how people liked the different stuff going on. That's the easiest way where I can describe it to people who don't know what it is. So I did an introduction post last July, and it paid out like $50. And I'm like, $50? Like, for taking a couple shots of me in my garden, talking a little bit about what I'm up to, like $50. I'm like, is this even real? And it took me quite a bit to just even understand that there was a process, kind of like if you go to work at a job. You're not going to say, okay, well, I worked at the job and they gave me a check, and now I have to take the check to the bank so I can turn it into USD or something like that. There is a process, and it's not too complicated, but once I figured out how to take that Steem or Steam-backed dollars and put them into an account on Bittrex, I was able to put it on a Coinbase account and put it directly to a Shift card I keep with me, where I can swipe it at the gas station pump. I can buy food. I can do whatever I want with it, and then also I can just dump it directly into my regular bank account. So when I realized there was something there, I thought, well, this is interesting, because I'm always doing things. I'm out in the woods. I'm interacting with animals. I'm foraging for stuff. I got a lot of stuff. I mean, really, our lives are content. If you like taking photos, if you like writing poetry, fiction, whatever, what I finally had was an outlet for my stuff. And the reason I never got involved with like Facebook, Twitter, any of that stuff before is I've got better things to do than kind of waste my time. And one term I coined a while ago, a little phrase I coined a while ago, was don't waste your time online, invest it at Steemit.com, because it's an opportunity for you to have a potential return on your investment and your interaction with an incredible community. So at that point, I started diving into it more, and I began putting out multiple posts a day. I began to finally delve into the crypto world, and I didn't understand anything about being online, didn't understand anything about crypto at that point, but in my time there, I mean, I've had my account be worth almost $80,000 at that point with just what was in the account, and that's kind of insane to think about. When a year's worth of time interacting online to wind up with tens of thousands of dollars, I mean, who does that? And that's the only reason that I even got involved in Bitcoin, got involved in holding other cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. Is Steemit's a real easy way for people who are doing things online anyway, or even not, to have a segue into the whole crypto world.
See, and one of the things that I can tell you is that what he's telling you is the truth, because I met him on Steemit, and I just want you to know that a lot of our introductory of us introducing ourselves here today will be about Steemit, but this isn't just about Steemit, it's about crypto in general. But yeah, I met Papa Pepper a few months back, and I mean, the crazy thing about the wallets is when it comes to cryptocurrency, you can see what's in all the wallets. They're open. Not that you can access them or anything without the passkeys or anything, but I saw his wallet and I thought it was amazing. He seems like a pretty unassuming guy. He lives on a homestead, lives what some would consider a pretty simple life, but you would never know that a guy walking by you has almost $100,000 in cryptocurrency just sitting in a bank. So that's one of the crazy things about the world of cryptocurrency. It's like a few years ago I worked for an IT company. We sold something called managed services, and I was tasked with selling cloud solutions. I didn't even know what the cloud was, but my boss was like, cloud's going to be the thing of the future, and I was like, yeah, what's the cloud? Well, just to think, a few years later, next thing you know, the cloud is everywhere. So the crazy thing about cryptocurrency is it's still in its infancy. Like everybody knows about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's, just broke $6,000 a coin. So everybody's goo goo gaga over that. But there's just so many more currencies out there than just Bitcoin. Those are things called altcoins or alternative coins that are they're a little bit different than the big names that we're always hearing about.
And in regard to that whole seeing what's in people's wallet, that's on Steemit. It's open like that. Anyone can check out your username, your account, and see what's in there. It doesn't have to be tied to your real person. If you look at my account and my posts, you'll see my face. You'll see stuff like that, but it can be anonymous there. And then there's plenty of other crypto wallets and places people can hold things where nobody has any idea about.
Exactly. Now, Mr. Hammock House, I know that you're new to the crypto space as well. So I want to know what brought you here, and what's your experience thus far, and what's your overall outlook for your tenure here while you're dealing with cryptocurrency.
Yeah, because kind of in general, I'm the boob here. I'm the new guy. Haven't had much time to really dive into how all of the different currencies work and trading between all of the different ones, but I have had experiences with Steemit, and so far it's been pretty compelling to be able to take, as Pepper said, content that you would normally just put on Facebook or Twitter or sort of wasting time online has been able to be monetized. My wife and I have actually created a joint account because we write and edit pretty much all of our content together, and we've been that way throughout the years, and so this was just sort of a natural segue for us to be able to continue to write things of poetry, or as Pepper says, my wife's into poetry, or just even practical things of a how-to, follow me around on a construction site or things of this nature, just anything and everything. There's a market for everybody, and so whatever your interest is, there's somebody out there. Over the 7 billion people on the planet, there's a handful of people out there that want to know exactly what you do and how you do, and so you can gain content, gain revenue from that. So I have been slowly dipping my toes into the world of crypto, but coming from a background more in construction and sort of hands, physical-based work, it's definitely compelling to be able to turn something as simple as working online or even just trading between all of the different currencies to sort of play the markets just like you would in any other normal money market, in the normal fiat market.
Okay, so guys, if you're just joining us, we're live here at Motive Radio. We're talking. This is the show Coin Talk Live. We're talking all things cryptocurrency. If you have any questions, you can definitely call in at 1-844-722-8224, and we want you to engage in the conversation. One of the things that I find interesting is the decentralized exchanges. One of the great things about cryptocurrency is decentralization. Decentralization takes that the currency from being centralized by, say, the Federal Reserve or International Monetary Fund, and it gives that back to the people. So the decentralization is probably one of the most driving factors that I enjoy about it. Case in point, in Christmas of last year, apparently something was going on with my Chase bank account, and we're doing some Christmas shopping, and next thing you know, my card's declined. I call the bank's closed, and I can't get any access to my money whatsoever until after Christmas. So I was in and out of the branch. I had a balance of $42,000, and just for some reason, they wouldn't let me touch my money. And what's crazy is I still haven't taken all my money out, but I have slowly started moving some of it over to crypto and trying to do money in the crypto space. And so I'm curious to either Papa Pepper or to Hammock House, what things have you spent crypto on? And if you haven't spent crypto on purchasing anything yet, is there something you'd like to see that you could purchase with cryptocurrency?
That's a very interesting question, and it's incredible for me, like I said, having no experience in anything, and everything I've learned and done online. I didn't know how to upload a video to YouTube. I didn't know how to upload a photo. I didn't know how to style my text, do anything. You know, I had no online education or understanding before this. So everything you see me doing is stuff I've learned in the past couple months since last July. And there's been times when I've been the #1 trending author in the entire world on Steemit. And that blows my mind, but I see that as a huge blessing. Part of the reason why my family moved down to the Ozarks was just to be more self-sufficient, to drop the cost of living, so that whatever we still need to provide together financially as a family, we'd be able to provide together from the land. We homeschool our kids. Mom doesn't work outside the house. She works her butt off in the house. And, you know, I was still leaving every day. So what it was just, if we can avoid debt and actually own things, and we can reduce whatever bills we have, and we can provide more of our own food and more of our own needs, then we're going to need less money. So one of that was when I sold my house up in Wisconsin and moved down to Arkansas, I had enough money for land, but that was about it. Now because of Steemit and because of cryptocurrency, it looks like I'm going to be able to build a brand new house out of pocket with no debt, no mortgage, no loan, nothing attached to it. Thus far, we've bought all sorts of farm animals. We bought a shipping container. We bought a chipper, shredder, chainsaw, just all sorts of practical things. I didn't really have any tools when I started this life. And even, I know a lot of people when they got involved in crypto or in Steemit, you know, I think it's interesting because much like the stock market, unless you kind of have an interest in that sort of things, or you have some money on your own to begin with as kind of seed money as an investment, you know, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies didn't really matter much for the common man, unless there was somebody mining the actual cryptocurrency, or they were kind of somebody who was into that stuff, or they were an investor looking for something to put some money in. The common man, the average guy, had no real entry point to crypto at all, in my opinion. So what Steemit did was it gave me that entry point, which I then invested a lot of time and energy and networking and different stuff within, and I've been able to reap an incredible return on that investment. But also it seems that so many people out there in the world today are pretty much you know, hand to mouth. Whatever they get in a paycheck is gone immediately. They got to head right back to work to, you know, get the next little bit to pay out. And I think a lot of it is foolish bills. I think a lot of it's debt, but I think a lot of it's just, that's the way things are set up these days. So for people to be able to do something in their free time, and like I said, Steemit is a great entry point into the cryptocurrency world, because just for your time and effort, your creativity, it's an outlet for all of that and a chance to meet some really great people. I mean, even when I called up Extraordinary Pilot, I saw he was online. We were taking off to Texas the next day. I said, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? He says, I don't know why. I said, well, I'm passing through, pretty much passing through your town tomorrow. He's like, well, you want a meal or a place to stay? I said, well, we're going to be staying somewhere. He says, why don't you come here? So we just stopped in the next day, you know, just met someone. Not that that's what everyone's up to, but it's interesting, too, because now I kind of know people everywhere in the world, and we're actually, you know, friends, if you want to call it that. So, like I said, it gave me an opportunity to kind of get out of the heavy yoke of bondage that's often in someone when they're in a certain society, to be able to provide something additional to what they're already working hard at their job for, to kind of free them up financially. And it's definitely, I've called it an economic power to the people, is what cryptocurrency offers.
You know, when I was in New York, I was at the Williamsburg Pier with Doug Carr, who's a film director, and
How do you know him?
Steemit. I'm just going to pretend like I knew him off of Steemit, or way before Steemit. Like, we're good friends, we go way back. But, yeah, so we're sitting on Williamsburg Pier, and we spent about $100 on Metro cards to take the bus, basically take public transportation. But unassuming to us, we didn't know that the Metro card didn't work on the New York ferry. So we were waiting in line to get on the New York ferry, and I was thinking I could pay with my Metro card, and he's like, no, you got to pay with a different card. So we ended up coming up with this idea that he was just going to go ahead and buy it, and then I can just go ahead and send him some crypto in the value of the ferry ticket. So I thought that was a pretty unique way. Also, during the meetup that we had here at the Motive Studios, for Steam, Sir Lunch the host was here, and there was, I forgot what it was, but I needed something. Oh, decals. I needed cash to get some decals that I had made, and I forgot my wallet at home. So he went ahead and covered it, and then what do? You just pay him back with crypto. You you know, and it wasn't just paying back with Steem. There's other different currencies. You know, I sent them the amount in Bitcoin. I could send it to him in Ethereum. I could send it to him in Litecoin, or just any token, anything that can cover the value that he sees. So it's crazy how it shifts the economy back to essentially a barter system. You know, the value that you place on whatever the crypto that you have versus the service that you're offering. I can tell you that I have personally bought games on Steem. Steem is the gaming platform where you can buy any kind of video game and a bunch of software, and they actually accept Bitcoin. So when I think I might have had about $50 or $60 worth of Bitcoin, so I wanted a VR game for the HTC Vive. So I went ahead, I think I bought Fruit Ninja or something. But yeah, it was crazy because all I had to do was stick my phone up to the QR code, and then bloop, you know, it automatically confirmed the transaction. The game popped up in my library. I just thought it was the craziest thing ever. It was I was like a kid in a candy store, because then afterwards I ended up getting my son, who's 11, in the cryptocurrency so that he can figure out ways to earn it, whether it be Steemit or whether it be networking with other people, or even if it's through allowance. But that way he can kind of get a little bit of knowledge about cryptocurrency and how to spin it. So he's been able to buy games on Steem for his account with crypto that I've given him and some that he's actually earned. So it's kind of crazy.
So what do you think a benefit would be to even just something as simple as giving your kid a savings or an allowance in cryptocurrency versus in US dollars?
The reason I think that's an amazing idea is because it's like penny stocks, but it's like a penny stock that you can really bank on, because penny stocks right now are overpopulated. But when it comes to cryptocurrency that's been vetted, that has a decent platform, I think it'd be cool if you can give your kid $100, $200 of a share of some sort of crypto that's on the low end, but that has a good foresight, good financial foresight. So you can see something shift from like 10 cents a share to $10 a share over the course that it sits there. I mean, I can tell you we spend a lot of money eating out, so we can skip a day of eating out. I can put a little bit of that aside for my kids and just watch it grow. I have the strangest feeling that you're going to tell me you probably have some crypto invested in your kids. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, I do, because I'm looking for ways to kind of diversify things. I can pretty much guess, you know what, $1 is going to be worth 30 years from now? Take a guess.
50 cents.
Pretty much. When you figure inflation into it, you know, it's going to be worth $1 at the most and probably less because of the way the world goes. So with cryptocurrency, of course it fluctuates. Of course it's much like the stock market. But for instance, if I would have said, you know what, I want a savings account for my kids, if I would have said this last Christmas and said, why don't I buy 1 Bitcoin for my kids? I would have picked it up for around $2,000 back around Christmas. It's worth over $6,000 now. It would have tripled in value. Now that's just one example, of course. But the same thing when I got involved with Steem, I thought, hey, why don't I run an account as a family account, as an opportunity to have a savings and an investment for my children? So I began doing that, and every once in a while, just stuff I wouldn't post under my main account that dealt more with the kids, more with the family, more stuff, I would just post from their own account, steemit.com/@littlepeppers. Now, right now, they've got, it's probably worth between $3,000 and $4,000 in just Steem, but then they also have, you know, a half a Bitcoin that I'm saving for their future. You know, before I was into cryptocurrency, I was doing things like silver and stuff like that because I wanted something that wasn't just $1, that had some intrinsic value that could potentially, you know, fluctuate either way, and that wouldn't just, you know, maintain its value or decrease over time, that it had an actual opportunity to be worth more, where I don't think that's often the case with normal.
And the key word there is invest, and especially with children, to teach them from an early age to invest. That most in the working class will only consider their cash flow, what they make from their job, bring it home, maybe they save some, maybe they invest it, but by teaching children early that to buy something with some sort, or acquire something with some sort of intrinsic value that has the potential to go up, is life-changing from a generational standpoint. Many folks, you know, have gone from generation to generation. You go to school, you get a good job, and you work your way up a ladder. But it's a very linear sort of growth, and it's only through investments that real wealth is actually built. And so, by teaching kids early in sort of a virtual way, almost in a sort of a playground for investments, it's going to be kind of difficult to get your kid to sit down and read the stock report and get them excited about just numbers on a page. But when it's something that they're actually involved in, and if even virtually in their virtual wallets, they have some tangible token, a coin, it really instills that from an early age, that it's not about how much you're making, it's how much your money is making, or in this case your crypto is making for you while you sleep, while you work, while you play. And it's only through investments that, you know, real wealth like that is built.
All right, guys, I think we got someone, looks like we might have someone who called in. Caller, are you there?
Hey, it's Frank Bacon, guys.
Frank Bacon, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for letting me call in. This is actually pretty reminiscent of what I did in Austin a few months back, and I started with a Build and Pretty radio show and was their first caller. So that's 2 for 2. How are you guys today?
Man, we are doing great. I'm glad you're listening. You know, and I always like to hear what you say, man. You're a pretty creative thinker.
Is that extraordinary pilot out here?
Yeah, some might call me that. Others call me a black cowboy, and my friends call me Ryan.
I stick to a strict policy of dealing with Steemians now, pretty almost exclusively as a form of business. So I stick to the names and everything. But I've been following you guys for a while. I love what you're talking about in the show. But I wanted to go in a different direction because this is the first day after a post last night from the Steemit blog about a new logo design. Have you guys even touched on that subject yet?
No, man, I'm glad you called in. I can tell you that I've seen it. It popped up. And, yeah, I got my own personal opinion on it. And I think the guys here have their opinion as well.
But we'd love to hear yours.
Yeah, we want to hear what you have to say, Frank.
I hate it. I think for a business that's been going in an alpha mode, it's been alpha software for over a year, that this is the best that they can do, makes me sick. I'm actually almost ready to just leave it and stop working so hard on Steemit, because it seems like everything I do, there's no help on the other end. I don't know what these guys think they're doing, but they are not running a very good social network or an experiment in cryptocurrency, and that this is the best that they can do for their little Steam Fest. It blows me away. I'm kind of livid, to be honest with you. I'm looking for support. I'm looking for you guys to talk me off the ledge.
All right. Well, actually, there's no ledge, so you don't have to jump. I'll grab you by the hand and we can walk away and have a beer or coffee.
And I'll be the first to say, don't commit Steamicide.
Yeah, I think if you take a like you were saying, your approach is dealing with only Steemians. I get it. If you're dealing with only Steemians, then you don't want to go too hard. But I do believe that we're all allowed our own opinions. So I'm just to second you. I'm going to tell you that I think it's an ugly logo. It looks like a hurricane evacuation route logo.
And that's a little tender for us here in Texas.
Yeah. So we're just getting over Harvey. So I don't know. I'm a little butthurt over it. But it could grow on me. I mean, just the original Steam logo's pretty simple as well. Yeah, go ahead and take a look at that. That's the original logo right there. But now it looks like a hurricane. And so I don't know. Is there a storm coming? Who knows? If so, should we be sheltering for it?
Or preparing.
Yeah. Well, my question is why? What's the point? I mean, there's a million other things that take priority over a rebranding. And I've seen it over and over in corporate America for a number of years. I have some years on me. I've been watching for decades. Corporate America always does these little duck blind moments where they're trying to throw away bad press. They just rebrand. It's been done in the wireless industry dozens of times. And then for them to do it, I mean, they're now a year and a half old, and they've barely covered all the things they were supposed to do in the roadmap at the beginning of the year. Nothing in the roadmap said a new logo. So I don't know. I just don't understand why they're not sticking to the roadmap and why they're avoiding, legitimate complaints on the platform, why they're holding on to so much of the core. I mean, they're worse than Satoshi Nakamoto in that sense, in that they've got a majority of the actual wealth of the platform locked up on a few accounts.
Well, hey,
and I'm not even a...
One of the things I can say is I do know that one of the biggest complaints has been the aesthetics. A lot of people have complained about the aesthetics, and I think that this was their attempt at trying to address that. I just don't think that it was executed as well as it possibly could be. And I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it doesn't speak to me. It looks like Leonidas from 300.
I think there was, a couple changes that happened. The one change that I'm pretty excited about, and mostly because Mama Pepper is that whole the toggle, the night vision, the night mode. A lot of my work I do laying in my bed next to her, and a big bright.
I read that post. Yeah.
White screen. Yeah, she doesn't appreciate that. So the fact it can be a black background with white text.
Oh, I
she likes
appreciate those things, and I don't want to sound like I'm being unappreciative, but I think the core value segment in this is that the Steem blockchain is running and should be running pretty, bug-free. And Steemit.com has in beta still at the top. Well, I guess it's not in beta anymore. I guess they finally got rid of that. So we're out of beta, and we got this new look, and we got this new feel. But we're not addressing any of the other core issues of, what happened for the last month, why the network was so buggy. Was it being DDoS? Why? And a very important one from another Steemian, another important post, and I can't think of his name right now. I think it's Luke Stokes. Yeah, it's Luke Stokes, who pointed out that Steemit ought to be eating its own dog food, meaning Steemit ought to be publishing and producing its own stuff on its own blockchain. And when you look at all the accounts associated with Steemit, added up together, I'm still more of a user than they are, and I'm not even a big user. And Papa's got thousands of posts. And yet you look at their posts, they hardly have anything. So they don't even use. They game the system from the beginning. They've got a majority of the economy sitting in their account, and they barely use the system itself. I've heard Ned give out his
delegation
Twitter account more often than his Steemit account.
So do you think that maybe the reason that the people who run the platform, maybe they don't post as much because they don't want to I guess they don't want to drain the rewards pool?
Well, they post and then they decline the payouts.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
stupid.
Well, you got a valid point
if
there.
they were doing it, if they were doing it the right way, it wouldn't have been so much of it produced in the beginning. Like they wouldn't have produced so much Steem in the beginning just to sit in these accounts, because there's $75 million worth of Steem sitting in the
So let me ask you this:
account.
do you think that having, like you said, basically the concentrated wealth is about all those people that are at the top? Do you think that's turning a platform like Steemit into basically what the banking system is now?
It's a ghetto worse than the banking system is now because, in my opinion, and this is just an opinion, but we see this surge of Indonesian
Hang
users.
on, Frank. Hang on, Frank. Hey, if there's anybody that's watching right now, I want you to see there's the before Steem and the after Steemit logo. So.
And if I may interject too, the logo associated with the token Steem is going to remain the same. We're still going to have those three little waves or whatever we want to call them, but the actual Steemit, the name of the company there is going to be that new little hurricane evacuation logo. And I think what I want to stress at this point too is one thing I've noticed, and I could even point back to the whale experiments a while ago, when pretty much, my entire history on Steemit, my upvotes were never worth more than a cent, which means when I interacted with other people, I could never give them more than a cent, because the more and more Steem power I got, the more the price or the value of it kind of declined, until they had the whale experiments and Smooth and Abit and some other ones began trying to countervote or downvote the ones that the whales were upvoting to kind of level the playing field a bit. And it worked, but it was poorly executed by a lot of people's opinions. And what I want to point out here is that when you're dealing with blockchain technology, when you're dealing with just even everything back end on the social media here, is you're dealing with some very technical people. You're dealing with some real, I don't want to call them computer nerds, or geeks, but there are people who understand data a lot, they understand computer programming a lot, all these things. So it's hard to kind of combine that within a group or even within people, and with incredible people skills, because I just kind of sat back as some of that stuff went on, and I just kind of slapped my forehead like, there's real people and real emotions here that have to be taken into consideration. So it's not just a technology when it comes to Steemit, it's actually like this hybrid of people and technology coming together, and there's a lot of things to consider, there's a lot of variables that come into play, and the human factor can often just be an emotional wreck and a an unreasonable beast to deal with anyway, where technology is a little more, data a little more, not that it can't have bugs or things like that, but a little easier to deal with and
So
predictable.
would you say that those that are in quote power, or those that are holding these accounts are more sort of left brain analytical type people versus a right brain, people person, artistic, marketing type of standpoint?
I'm saying there's certain things that one should consider as they look at this, because I'll tell you what, I can interact, I can make almost 30,000 posts. Today I just hit 10,000 followers on there, and I didn't have anyone from YouTube or anywhere else to bring over. I mean, this is all homegrown, as Kusni calls me,
all
the
organic.
old dog. I'm a homegrown superstar on there because I didn't come from anywhere else, so I can interact with people, relate to them, have compassion, these type of things, but I can't, you know what I mean? I don't understand a lot of the stuff on the technical end of that, but while other people have been learning about mining or learning about the blockchain, I've also been, learning about animal husbandry and learning how to run a backhoe and all sorts of different stuff in my real life trying to build up the homestead, so I haven't really invested mentally into it the way that I could have.
Hey Frank, so beside from Steemit, is there any other currency that you're involved in, that you're invested in? Maybe there's an ICO that you're looking at. Like, what other projects in the crypto space grabs your attention and your interest other than Steemit?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Actually, for me, Steemit was kind of the pinnacle. I was a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm following the Bitcoin Cash fork pretty closely right now. I'm not really active with Ethereum, and I think Litecoin. I'm essentially a kind of a bit of a noob, even though I've been working with this for a couple of years now. I think everybody's a noob, and nobody knows what's going on. I'm more impressed with what Steemit has done from the standpoint of creating a utilitarian function. Because you tell people about Bitcoin, and unless they want to go through the trouble of learning how to operate wallets or getting involved with a third-party intermediary like Coinbase, there's not a lot of options for them. I mean, there are, but there aren't. They're in that more left-brain technical side of things. But with Steemit, it invited the right-brain marketer, artist type, and it designed it in a way. It was designed in a way to be utilitarian. So I've onboarded like 70-year-olds and mothers and very non-technical people onto Steemit because it's utilitarian. You can use it. It's not a cryptocurrency in their mind. It's something much easier to understand.
That's funny you point out 70-year-olds, because I remember one guy who was talking about, hey, I got all this crypto in my Steemit account. He says, I don't even have food on my table. How do I do this? And since he didn't have bank accounts or Coinbase accounts or Bittrex accounts, he was kind of dumbfounded. So I said, look, dude, you're only a couple hours away from me. I'll head over there right now and pay you cash for it. So
there you go.
But not everyone can always do that. Just to drive over to somebody's house, pay them cash, they just move the funds to your wallet. And
well, but on that platform, it's easy to find people because you just make a post about it. So I see it as like it can even go into way. Like, I'm surprised nobody has created a Craigslist for Steemit. That nobody's created a Airbnb for Steemit yet. That nobody's created. Like, we're just now seeing Zapple and all these other, and Busy. We're seeing some things with Steam Connect, but it's going excruciatingly slow, and at the same time, everybody else is wasting time with ICOs. So you'd ask me, do I get involved in ICOs? Absolutely not. I think ICOs are the worst thing in the world right now. I think anybody writing a white paper and inventing a cryptocurrency out of thin air without being able to show that they can use other cryptocurrencies is making the problem worse for everybody. So I watch OmniCoin pretty closely because OmniCoin is built on top of the Bitcoin blockchain.
Yeah.
And that's an area that I think is much more impressive, is what you can do with these things. But that's a very highly technical, the left brain type of person. I like Steemit because I could get the lady across the street onto it, and then I could share and pay her, or she could pay me, or we could write stuff together. But it was a very artistic expression. And utilitarian. You were actually using it. I mean, very few people have explained how unbelievably cool it is to be on Steemit and move money around. It's far cooler to move money around on Steemit than on any other blockchain.
No transaction
Wouldn't you agree?
fees.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, Kevin, have you ever heard of Cryptopy with a K?
Frank?
Frank, I'm sorry.
You're asking. Oh, Frank.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
asking Frank. I'm sorry.
No, I haven't. What is that?
Well, it's a ERC20 token. It's going to be built obviously on the Ethereum blockchain, but it's poised to be a competitor to Steemit. And one of the things, if I'm not mistaken, is the minimization of bot use.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, we're at a day and age now where something like Steemit has already manifested something new in reality that people didn't really have before. Where you could just go online, you could get an account for free. You used to be able to have some free Steam when you got that account, and you can start interacting with people and potentially have a return on that investment immediately. And if this is kind of setting the bar right now, I think we're in an incredible time in human history where people just don't have to go slave away for 40, 50, 60 hours a week, leave their families, do these things just to try to get a little bit ahead or to have something extra even to leave the next generation, where we're standing at an incredible time. And I mean, if Steemit, despite everything it may lack, I mean, you can't take away the cars that people have bought because of it, or the other things we've seen people paying their bills, paying their mortgages, doing these things, feeding their families, buying diapers because of what it's done. So it puts...
Yeah, that's what keeps me on the positive side of all this, is that I've already seen, and I don't give any of that credibility to the guys that Steemit. I want to be kind of frank about this, if you pardon the pun.
You can be frank.
But I'm very, very upset with the guys at Steemit, because in spite of what they do, there are people that are making it successful, and that's what drives me crazy, because they've got a third to a half of the economy locked up in a very imbalanced equation, and then they don't eat their own dog food by utilizing their own platform to tell us what's going on. Like, I find out about it from other Steemians finally and eventually, but I should just be watching the Steemit.blog or Steemit blog account or following that account, and I should see 3 or 4 posts a day from that. If I was following Ned, I should see, easily a post every day from Ned. I should see in a real world, but they're not doing that. And that drives me crazy, because shouldn't that be, like, intuitive? Don't you guys agree that if you built something like this, wouldn't you be on it every day? I mean, you're on it every day anyways. You didn't build it. And you guys all write good content and informative content and make great posts, but you guys use it more than the guys that actually built it, and they're the ones sitting on most of the money.
Well, and to play devil's advocate,
doesn't seem very fair.
Yeah, to play devil's advocate, that may be that maybe they just don't feel that the content that they would produce is worthwhile to the point where it would be a daily fixture, several hours a day.
But we're talking about the guys that actually wrote Steemit.com. Okay,
for sure.
So their daily content, whether it's useful or not, should be there no matter what, like a page in their operating manual.
You know
like,
what?
why aren't they writing their own
I'm
operating?
going to have to agree. I know of, I guess about a month or so ago, it was I guess in July, June or July, I remember, a month or so, my interior clock is way off, but there was
Thanks, Harvey.
And something happened. I think someone was getting flagged by Ned and Dan, and my interpretation of the situation was that the reason that they were having issues is because this guy was creating tokens and cryptocurrencies outside of the Steemit blockchain, and then being able to integrate them. But that's because that guy had been posting consistently on Steemit, building a following, and I think basically what that user was doing is probably what you're saying Steemit should be doing. They should be building a consistent following, because someone who joins today may not know who Ned is when he does a post tomorrow, or who Dan is. It took a while before, well, not for me, but there's someone else, like I remember saying Ned and Dan. People were like, who's Ned, who's Dan? And I had to keep explaining they're the founders or the creators of the Steem blockchain.
I think it's interesting to consider, to expect 3 to 4 posts a day from somebody kind of being the head or running a platform like that in the middle of a bunch of technical difficulties like we really experienced recently. What are they going to say? Sorry, still working on it. Yeah, sorry. It's just going to add another amount of
that would have been much more preferable to some of the other things I saw, which was some negative comments on their Twitter feed. Like, whoever's running their Twitter feed is an absolute unprofessional hack, and it's probably Sneak, who took over for Dan when he left. But I'm looking at guys that have 3 and 4 and 5, and in some cases $10 million in their account, and they're declining payout. And I really wish they had made that money the hard way, the way that we all have to make it, which is make a post, and if that post makes money, you get to keep that money.
Yeah, but really, if they wanted to, they could also just make their own posts, vote them up 100% on their own, and really become unstoppable, take all the rewards, and destroy the whole community as well, kind of by taking that out of play and using that as a savings account for the incorporation for the players, the big players in it.
So the fact of the matter is they can still do that because they have all the power to do that. So they're playing nice rules. They're like, hey, we've got all the power and we're not voting up our own stuff. Doesn't that make us nice? And I'm like, no, that actually makes you horrible because you can do that at any time. They can wreck the system at any moment. Not that they would, but they can.
Well,
and that's what I hate about,
The one thing that always inspires me about the whole deal is Dan and Ned and anyone involved with the creation of Steemit never had to do it in the first place. They never had to let me get an account for free. They never had to put free Steem in my account. They never had to create a way for me to be able to invest my time online and get an instant return on that investment in cryptocurrency and really expose me to this entire new wave of really financial and economic future of the world. They never had to do that. They chose to.
Actually, they did. They did have to do that in order for them to get away with their own crypto becoming valuable, because their crypto would not have been valuable if they just sat on it 100%.
Yeah, that's like if you watch the people who create their own user-issued assets on Open Ledger, the only way to really give it value is to give it away first, and in some cases buy it back. I mean, that's how I look at it. Hey, Frank, man, I want to thank you for calling in. We're about to move on. You want to let the listeners and watchers know, listeners and viewers know, how can they find you?
Just Frank Bacon, at Frank Bacon.
Okay, so
and I really appreciate the opportunity, guys. I don't produce much content. I'm a science fiction author, a very bad one, and my work is cryptographic. It's a cryptographic novel that I write on Steemit. So I'm published on Steemit. It'll never go away for that matter. And I just wanted to voice, my opinion openly with some fellow Steemians. So I really appreciate the opportunity to check in with you guys, and I'll be doing it in the future. So thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Frank, and I'll be sure to get at you once we get off the air.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
All
guys,
right,
have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. Bye. So that's Frank Bacon. He's an avid Steemit user. Obviously, he's really passionate about crypto and where Steemit is going. And I think, as with most people, he has some valid points. And I think I'm glad he got an opportunity to air those here as opposed to, like you said, committing Steemicide and putting it in a post on the blockchain that will live forever. So right now I want to talk about, I guess, the markets. Have you been following the price of Bitcoin? Like, have you seen where the price of Bitcoin is right now?
I've been.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the price of Bitcoin last I looked was at 6,100, but I just looked here when Frank was on air, and it looks like we're at 6,500 per Bitcoin. So can you imagine those people who bought 20, 30, 40, 100 when these things were $10, $20 a piece that are still holding it? Or
the people even a couple of years before that when they were selling, for a fraction of a cent.
Exactly.
When it first came out.
And anybody, that's kind of reading the writing on the wall. Bitcoin being at 6,500 average right now, because the exchanges, I always say they're off plus or minus 1 or 2%, so I don't want to give it an exact number. But I really wish that when I first heard about Bitcoin, I really wish that I would have bought some. And I'm kicking myself every day because I know some people who actually bought Bitcoin. I've met several people who have 10, 20 Bitcoin that they purchase at like $20 a piece, and they're just sitting on it. And I just wish I had the foresight to know that was going to happen. And that's what makes cryptocurrency so important, is because we see what happened with the flagship crypto. Now let's see what's going to happen with these others that follow. And as Frank was talking about ICOs, an ICO is an initial coin offering. Anybody familiar with the stock market and Wall Street, that's the equivalent of an IPO, which is an initial public offering, basically when a stock goes public on one of the exchanges. Well, ICO is no different. People they create a token on a blockchain, and then they raise money for it. And those are essentially penny stocks because they come out at whatever the perceived value is, which could easily be, a few cents. Right now I have some Swarm tokens. I bought some Civic coin for like 1/1000th of a cent. And I got my eye on a few other things. I bought some Tezos. Man, what else did I buy? I'm always buying. I'm just buying stuff now because I can afford it, and I feel like the price of it's going to go up. All right, I think we got another listener who's coming in right now. Hey, caller, do you have any question, comment, or you just want to tell me how good my cowboy hat looks?
Well, I just want to say how great the cowboy look hats, but I just want to comment a little bit on the whole Bitcoin thing. I believe that Bitcoin is going to about $10,000 within the next 6 months. I mean, we're already seeing it reach great new heights, so I think it's even get higher than it is now.
You know what? Someone told me yesterday that it's going to go to 1 million. I wanted to smack him, but at the same time I wanted to hug him because I was like, you know what? You're right. It could go to 1 million, but not in my lifetime. But I think you're right. You know, the first time that I got Bitcoin at and we're getting a little bit of feedback. First time I got Bitcoin, I believe it was at like $2,000. And I sat on it until I got to like 4. And then I sold it all, thinking that I saw a dip for like a week. I freaked out. You know, I wanted to get my money out and not really lose anything. But now I'm looking at this 6,500 and I'm kicking myself again. You know, so do you think we should buy crypto now at the 6,000, just kind of hold on to it?
I think everyone should buy at least one Bitcoin and just let it sit as like a 401k plan, because in like 10, 20 years, it's going to be worth 100 times what it is now. And you'll be able to buy yourself a yacht. So that's the game plan.
How much Bitcoin are you holding, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm holding 0 Bitcoin.
So what cryptos are you holding?
I'm currently holding Golos, Dogecoin, and Linda. Linda for the future.
Okay.
Linda coin.
So, yeah, explain to me Dogecoin. Like, is the pronunciation correct? I see it and I always say dog-e coin. You know, but if it's Dogecoin, my apologies. Is that how it's properly pronounced?
Well, I'm just setting a new trend. I call it Dogecoin. Other people call it Doggy Coin. And the one thing about Dogecoin that makes it just phenomenal is the dog in the face. I mean, every time I open up my wallet, I get a good laugh. And any token that can make me laugh is a token that I'm willing to invest in.
Why does it make you laugh? Does it do tricks? It goes up and down, spins around? What does it do?
But it just plays dead most of the time. but that's fine with me, you know. It's a good trick and never gets old in my book.
So you mentioned holding some Golos. Do you have an account on that site at all, or?
Yeah, I have an account on Golos. I like to remain anonymous. I also have an account on Steemit. That account isn't so anonymous on there. So I kind of have 2 cryptos that I hold on to.
Yeah, it's kind of like your voice, too, not all that anonymous. But yeah, I got an account on Golos, too, and I did months ago. I'm not very active over there, but a lot of my friends, quote-unquote friends from Steemit, jumped over there as well.
So, guys...
Well, I mean, with the whole Golos thing, I actually put everything into Golos. I went and I got out a student loan, and then I put that into Golos. I asked all my family for money, and then put that into Golos. So, you know, Golos for the future, hopefully.
I think you're addicted. I mean, when you have to go beg family for money, that's like, you know, that's what drug addicts do.
Well, no, see, I didn't beg. I was more like, hey,
You
this
just
is
showed
gonna
them
be
the
future
doggy coin and let that beg for you?
Yeah, see, and everyone loved the doggy coin. They loved the cute dog. It was a good selling pitch. And, you know, I would just encourage nobody, but then everybody, to put their whole life into cryptocurrency.
I'm going to agree with you 100%. Now, let me ask you this about, you know, you talk about the coins that you like. Are there any coins that that you think we should avoid?
Coins that, let's see. You know, nah, I think all coins have their value. I mean, even the ones that are dead, they have last value, so you can kind of buy those and laugh at them, you know? So all coins have their good points and their bad points, and no coin or token is a bad token or coin.
So if, you know, one of the questions I'd asked my in-studio guest was what kind of things would they like to see that could be purchased with crypto. I do know that Mercedes-Benz allows you to purchase with Bitcoin. The first real estate transaction actually took place in Texas over a Bitcoin transaction. So the title company sat there, and within an hour, they saw the money transfer, and that was the quickest transaction that the real estate agent and the brokers said they had ever seen for purchasing a house. All not to mention the lower fees. So if you had, let's say you had, I don't know, 10 Bitcoin, that's $65,000. If you had $65,000, what do you think you'd spend it on?
Well, the first thing I would buy is a studio full of cats. But if I couldn't get cats, I'd buy college education. So I would encourage all colleges to accept a form of cryptocurrency. That way it's easier for people to afford education if they wanted it.
That's pretty thought-provoking when you think about it. I mean, seeing how crypto is the way of the future, cryptocurrency is the way of the future, and you know, you're actually educating the future. You're going to send these people out into the workforce, into the world, and what good way to have them vested or educated on cryptocurrency when it comes in, or like basically when they get out of college. So I think
exactly.
Even learning how to develop things on the blockchain, you know, purchasing cryptocurrency, trading cryptocurrency, creating your own blockchain and coins, like these are things that I believe that universities are going to start offering as a course or a degree of some sort. I mean, you've had my cooking, I'm assuming. I'm assuming everybody in here has had my cooking. And, you know, I didn't go to school to learn how to cook, just like I didn't go to school to learn how to dabble with crypto. For me, it's OJT, on-the-job training. But I do think that we can see this stuff literally take us to the moon if we start educating the future on it. And it's not surrounded by this negative idea that the media always puts forth, that cryptocurrencies for drug dealers and terrorists. I'm not a terrorist or a drug dealer. So I think it's for regular people.
Exactly. I have a question, actually.
Yes.
It must be very bright in the studio because you guys are all wearing sunglasses.
So, unfortunately, you must have missed the introduction. When I gave the introduction, first of all, we were saying that we all value our anonymity. You know, I'm pretty anonymous on social media, but ultimately what was going on is, you know, this is just how we walk around and how we look, but I figured that could also portray the idea about anonymity on the blockchain. All right, so look, we had two callers come in, and Mr. What's your name?
Anonymous.
Sir Lunch the host, sir.
Mr. Sir Lunch the host. All right, but between Sir Lunch the host and Frank Bacon that called in, look, we're almost out of time. What I want to tell you is that, you know, check us out on Steemit, also on Facebook. We're going to be giving away this free silver round. Go ahead and put that in the camera.
Yeah, one thing that happened recently is some members of the Steemit community had some of these Steem 1-ounce silver rounds printed up. So there's only 1,500 of them ever minted. They costed $20 to begin with, and now they're selling for over 60 already. So I wanted to bring down number 102 and provide that as a gift for you.
Thank you, sir. Pepper?
And then we should give one away on the show too. I got number 803. It's just a 1-ounce silver round. Like I said, if you like silver, if you're a stacker, this is a great opportunity. And if you just like money, well, it's worth like 3 times as much as an actual silver round normally would be.
I tell you what we're going to do is we're running out of time. Hey, Lunch, thank you for the phone call. All the listeners and viewers, what I want you to know is just stay tuned for, we're going to share this post on all the platforms for the people that are listening. So that's going to be on Steemit, that's going to be on Motive, and we're going to let you know who the lucky winner is of this Steemit silver round. So guys, hey, thanks for tuning in to the first episode of Crypto Talk Live, and we'll catch you again next week.
Pop out.